thorough pace, premium racing analytics, allowing bettors to identify races with extreme pace scenarios in a matter of seconds. Capital OTB's mobile wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with Capital OTB's mobile wagering platform. And CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrow. I am Anthony Mormino as we work our way into the middle part of October. Getting ready, obviously, for the Breeders' Cup Championship out at Santa Anita. And annually one of the big races today. And Seth will get to it in a little while. The QE2, which sort of is like the 3-year-old filly championship on the turf Breeders' Cup race.
Yeah.
The only thing I've never liked about it is I think a lot of trainers are like, this is it. They're not going to the Breeders' Cup. This is their out. They're like, we're done here. And I think, there's been a couple 3-year-old fillies, Americans, that I wish would take on the boys or the British, etc. But quick first note, and that is Naira's post time. We're on the turf as of the moment. They're holding the MTOs, but they've moved up post time to 12:05. That's A. B is the Monmouth at Meadowlands, according to Twitter, has canceled. We'll get some official, but it was out from the Jersey people, so I consider that official. So we're going to have some weather, it appears. Naira used some foresight, and they made the Sands Point early in the card because I guess they were always anticipating late in the day rain again. So we're trying to get it in.
Turf stakes were scheduled for tomorrow, and didn't go to the entry box. A couple of turf stakes for tomorrow are moved to next week already.
And I was just thinking, Seth, we've talked about this before. I never remember it having this, like, we never moved anything. We just, it's like, we've progressed so much, but it has a feeling of regression. Like, can you ever remember a stakes race being canceled and then moved? I don't.
No, I mean, things have definitely changed.
There's
no question.
We'll see how that works. I mean, we still have a good 6 weeks left of turf racing season. I've always said, we're all adults, and you have to think. It's like there's no way you can think that, next 6 weeks they might label it as firm. But it's nowhere near the summertime drought firm, and they both come up firm on the daily racing form. So, we'll see. And I think it was a bad apropos, that the last big Saturday of Naira's season was a torrential sea of slop.
Yeah.
I
It's
watched
been snake bitten at least since Saratoga.
Absolutely. I mean, it was. And the one thing I remembered coming out of it, and I liked Timberlake in the Champagne, but, talk about fierceness where he had gotten that 95 in the slop. And I've told people for years, and I think the reason I like to reiterate it is because when they come back, there's such a short price. And I don't know what fierceness got coming out of the Champagne, but it wasn't good enough to beat Timberlake in a sea of slop once again. And I thought Timberlake was a square price. I mean, a very
Timberlake
square.
was good. Booth was good out in Southern California. There was a lot of performances More Like Goddess. It was great to see her get back. Yeah, she was phenomenal.
Now, what's funny is
the old War Like Goddess.
You're going to have to remember.
And I turned it for home. I thought, this horse is.
How do you lose from here?
This 90-1 shot, who had opened up like 20 lengths.
So high. Who was, by the way, 50-1 on the morning line.
Oh, yeah, legitimately a big price, but opened up. And normally those horses, as you hit the far turn, you can see.
They're being reeled in.
There. But that was, and then More Like Goddess.
I mean, this is, and this happens. Listen, there's some blind spots for me, but I think if you don't remember that race, when you see War Like Goddess or any of those runners come up, those internal positions will be dopey. Hopefully they're so dopey that you realize there must have been a runoff leader, which is really unfair to call so high that because he ran great. It's not like he threw the anchor out at the 3/8 pole, but So High was 18 lengths maybe in front on the backside.
Yeah.
And Warlike Goddess, I thought she had fired all of her best bullets, but she had one more. She was fantastic. So she wins back-to-back Joe Hirsch. So, tremendous job.
Yeah, really. It was much more quiet this weekend than last weekend. As they say, there will be Breeders' Cup notables coming out of last weekend, but now we're in that period. Oh, and the news, the unfortunate news, Echo Zulu getting the injury, and so that was unfortunate news from yesterday. But yeah, last weekend was the big weekend. It was so big, it was funny. It was so big. We went in, we did an hour show, and it seemed like almost an hour and a half. The handicapping show last week. It was so big.
I'll tell you, it was. It's a great day. Watching them fire at Keeneland, Santa Anita, and Santa Anita. I will say this: Seth just said it. Muth to me was the horse of the weekend because I had such doubts, and he handled it with such professionalism. I was like, oh man, that was scary good how well Muth.
Were you there? Did you do the triple header?
I did the double header. I didn't do the triple header, and it was getting later as I was arriving in Southern California. Got 40 minutes late. Now here's funny, not that people care, but if you take off 40 minutes late going east to west because of the jet stream, you really can't make it up. Going west to east, they can. So I was basically late going 40 minutes or 50 minutes each way, but coming home, it wasn't a problem. But I got in so late, I was grateful my hotel room was available, and I took all my stuff with me. So I plopped right down and watched the three of them. And it's almost like I can't change pages fast enough once Santa Anita started, which is when I'm landing locally, that I got the frisette and I see the rain, and it's, like Seth and I said, we were talking about scratches. We got caught with weather doing it a day ahead of time, which, but it was, I used to go to Vegas Columbus Day weekend from about 96 to like 02, 03 before Denise, before Anthony was born. And it was always a fantastic weekend. And it's still so good, but I'm literally watching, Santa Anita rip them off. I'm watching Keeneland, which was a gorgeous day of racing that you had. And I'm watching the Sea of Slop at Belmont. And I'm taking notes for coming out. And I just want to say, you said Echo Zulu. I have a list at home of the horses that the list used to be just who scratched out after they took entries. And you start with the original one, Seattle Song, who would have been probably code choice in the Breeders' Cup Turf, scratched out. But now Echo Zulu. Excuse me, Seth, I lost my mic. I got it.
No, well, I will.
So Echo Zulu, my point being that Echo Zulu will now be on that heap. A couple years ago, I was with our colleague Steve Bick at Santa Anita in the morning up at Clocker's Corner, and they announced Lord Nelson was going to scratch out of the sprint, who I liked, and now Echo Zulu, who would have been a short price. I don't know, had they decided if she was going to go 6 or 7?
I hadn't heard.
Right. So she would have been a short price favorite in the Philly race at 7, I believe. But they were thinking about the old 6. Have they decided Gunite's going in the mile?
Yeah,
again?
And so it seemed like they were tilting towards the 6, but
now you're wondering. Because I don't think that's his best game. I think they've hurt. I'll say it. I thought they hurt Gunite last year in their choice for the Jackie's Warrior, and I don't think he's.
And it may very well be that decision was just they had the option to do that, and now without the option, maybe they'll
slide back.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me at all. I got to ask, you didn't make the track, but was that the best live football game you were ever at? Or
no?
Or was it the longest?
It was the longest. Latest I've ever gotten out of the Coliseum, 11:45 local time. But I'll tell you, almost the same exact scenario about 6 years ago when, remember that famous sports equinox in LA? And my wife said no on Sunday. Right. But Saturday we did go see Texas play at USC. My wife had never been in a big-time college environment. And I've told the story before. We checked into, there's a famous hotel. It's not expensive. It's downtown. It's not in Beverly Hills. but the Bonaventure is a famous hotel in Southern California. Matter of fact, it's where USC stays the night before a game. And we walked in on Friday night, and it was all burnt orange and white, which is Texas's colors. And when we went to the game, my wife will tell you today, she's still never seen anything like it. The level of energy, you would have it at the Dome with 30,000, but 92,000, Texas and USC. That was the best game live I've ever seen. That was a double overtime also. But I'm in LA and I'm like, this game is ending at 2:45.
For folks who don't, it's 4 overtimes, right? Three.
Kid tackles him and ends the game. I said this to Chuck Simon. If you don't, follow Twitter, Charles Simon, Chuck Simon from Saratoga, trainer, retired. He's a U of A grad. So we and I just said to him, I said, the better team lost. University of Arizona outplayed USC all night, except the machinations of having probably the best player in college football and, a break here or there saved USC's bacon. Now they got Notre Dame tonight. But I was exhausted because for me, it is 2:45. I'm like, I got to get home. I mean, it's like home to the hotel. So, so it was exciting, but I will say this: it was only exciting because they won. It would have been, I'd have been spitting nails. Not that I'm enraptured how well they do, but that it's 2:45 in the morning to my body and the alma mater lost. But we'll see. We'll be at Santa Anita going out Wednesday, the 1st. The big question for most of the people that do what we do, Seth, is whether Santa Anita is going to run on Wednesday. They did not do it the last time the Breeders' Cup was there. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. It's, my favorite sporting event.
They were the only major non-Monday track that ran on Columbus Day.
Yeah, they still run on Columbus Day. Yeah. It's.
Oh, and speaking of which, I do want to remind people, I said it last week, you get your last little bit of horse racing related Saratoga this Tuesday. Fasig-Tipton fall sale is Tuesday. Starts at 10. And I was thinking as I drove in, it's a different atmosphere than the other two sales. The big sale in New York, the New York Bred sale has become kind of fun and active on its own during the season. This is a little bit different. It's a lower quality of horse, but it's fun. You get to go up there and they're still out in the paddock walking around. If it's a nice day, it's great. I'm not sure what the weather is going to hold on Tuesday, but it starts at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. They sell over 300 horses. And I started thinking, there are some horses they move right through, because if you think about it, if they spent 3 minutes a horse, it'd be like 15 hours. And they don't spend 15 hours. It is a long day. It starts at 10 and goes to dinner time or so. But there are some horses that get moved in. They don't get much action. They get moved right out. So it's a little bit of a different atmosphere, but it's fun. If it turns out to be a nice day, swing by and you'll enjoy the morning and or afternoon. That's Tuesday. The Fasig-Tipton Pavilion right down the East Avenue from the racetrack, literally 2 blocks from the racetrack if you've never been.
And what do we make the over-under on where the Belmont Stakes is going to be held? What date on the calendar will we? I mean, are the logistics involved? Is this something they can do at the last minute?
I said to somebody just the other day, I was playing basketball.
I mean, it definitely seems like it's happening.
Yeah, I was playing basketball on.
If you look at hotel rates, it's happening.
People were talking about horse racing and whatnot. I said, I'm guessing maybe they're waiting for the Breeders' Cup to end. They can't go much longer than that because, as you say, people have to make plans. I'm going to get a hotel room and I'm going to take time off. And so I wonder if they're just waiting for the Breeders' Cup to wind up to make their announcement.
Somebody's got to go up and dust off the trailer.
Exactly.
For 3 days. And that doesn't sound like it's going to be that type of thing. A 3-day thing. It's not going to be a 1 day thing.
I'm guessing 4 or 5. Yeah, it's not going to be 1 day. They have said they'd be there for a racing festival.
Okay. And still no pictures of the artist rendering.
No, I haven't seen.
Although somebody did, at least I read fine for the first time, they have said that the plant will be, I think it's like 1.25 million cubic feet. The number I saw was like 1/3 to 1/4 the side of the plant. So, which is coming. They're not rebuilding that. So, but still no artist renderings of what we're going to be looking at. And I tease, but I'm very interested because I like these these smaller, more intimate buildings.
Yeah.
You know, so
You get a little buzz.
I'm happily anticipating the artist rendering drawings because I think it could be for, you know, for every day but one, it's going to be a better fan experience.
Yeah. You get a little buzz. I mean, I've said that about Tampa. Tampa's a nice size facility just on a day-to-day basis. You know, you get a few thousand people show up and you're feeling like there's a buzz in the building.
Yes, because we're all compacted.
Yeah. Let me remind people before we move on that today there is a Fan Appreciation Day. Lawrence Street Tavern Easy Bet. That's up in Glens Falls. If you're a patron up in the Glens Falls area, an OTB patron, stop by, say hello, but take advantage of Fan Appreciation Day. Food, vouchers, contest, PPs, gives us our chance to say thank you to you. That's this afternoon, the Lawrence Street Tavern Easy Bet in Glens Falls. And also don't forget on Sundays here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Speaking of football, you can watch all the games and all the racing action every Sunday. NFL Sundays during the season, Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany.
Can't go this week, the father-son dinner at Anthony's school. So this is 2 events, which I'm very happy to attend with our son. It cost me 2 games this year, which is fine. This is fine because his days are dwindling down in the household and they are bittersweet. So I will not go out to the Cardinal game. I will be having dinner in the convention center at Albany, the rubber chicken circuit. And but it's a great event. I don't think the boys
don't hold it at the school?
No, it's a big event. They
wow.
could not. This is there's about 4 big events. The 9/11 ceremony that I talked about earlier when I couldn't go out, and the father-son dinner and the flag lowering. So no, it's gigantic. I mean, and they need that center. And they do a great job down there. And I'm sure the young men don't enjoy it, but it's nice to see all of them in there. They have to wear, what's so funny?
The young men don't enjoy it.
Oh yeah, no, they don't enjoy the fact that they have to wear their dress blues. It's, you know, but no, I think a lot of them would opt out. Our son was kind of surprised that his mother.
Dads are thrilled.
He'll be fine, but he's like, we've been to like 5 of them. He's like, we're going. I said, we're going until there are no more. He's like, oh, he thought it was over.
How often do they wear? They don't wear the
once a week.
Oh, okay.
Usually on Friday is dress blues day. They wear their dailies the rest of the week, but generally speaking, once a week on Friday they have to. And I've said to his godfather that he has to see Anthony go to school one morning because it is if you're into these types of things, it is a beautiful sight to see these young men walk into school and it looks like they're at Annapolis. It's we're happy with it. So
very good. All right, you ready to take a look?
I am. Yeah, remember 12:05, folks. 12:05 moving up. It's gonna surprise Seth's next show, right? You said
Speaking of which, top of the hour, Jeremy Plonk, horseplayernow.com. He also does a Substack page now with some selections.
Nice.
You can check that out. But he handicaps on the Keeneland website every day. So we'll talk a little Keeneland with Jeremy and John Piasek from the Maryland Horse Breeders Association because it is Maryland Millions Day. They're loaded with stakes down at Laurel today. And our friend Brian Nadeau is down there. I got sent up from Gulfstream for a little Maryland Millions coverage, so you can look for him this afternoon as well. All right, the opener, Belmont at the Big A on this Saturday. Day after Friday the 13th. Hopefully it was lucky for you. We'll see if we can continue that this afternoon. Maiden 50 claimers in race 1, 7 furlongs the trip.
Everybody in here, first time tag, 3, 6, 8, and please pay attention to the network. It sounds as though there's no way we're going to avoid a weather situation. I'll take Antenna on top for Todd Pletcher, making the 3rd career start. An offspring of Munnings, who most recently ran against Jess FYI, the recent winner of the Frizette Stakes. I love the debut. Just got beat at Monmouth for 2nd. Number 6, Extra Dirty, debuted at Saratoga, makes the 2nd start here for Chad Brown. The debut is one of those ones that I'm okay with. She showed me a little something. She gave me about 3/8 of a mile run and then just backed up through the field. Was a tepid, 8-1 on debut, is 2-1 running for a tag, and for third, Celestial Express going out for Gary Contessa. 3-6-8 in the opener.
Race number 2 this afternoon, as you alluded to earlier, they're
Yes.
scheduling the Sands Point very early on the card.
Right.
Grade 2 event, $200,000, 3-year-old fillies on the grass.
And I'm just imagining, so they're probably moving up all the times by 30 minutes. Is this going to be the earliest grade 2 ever run at Naira? I'm guessing 12:38-ish, folks, but 6, 7, and 10. The turf condition is obviously very important. I said they're holding the MTOs at this time, but I think the Sands Point used to be a grade 1. Just 9 furlongs. The give on the turf course is it's so vital in turf racing, especially at the highest level. But root cause, irrespective of the turf course, I think is going to be a big price. Now, the problem for me is root cause is only run on a firm turf going, but as my rule is, the higher the price, the more questions you're allowed to ask. Makes the second start since June. Just got beat in the Virginia Oaks at 20-1. Most of that price has sailed, but I do get Trevor McCarthy in the saddle for second. Number 7, Eternal Hope. Now I'm guessing that everyone is going to be guessing whether this Euro, second time United States after winning the Oaks, is going to like to give in the course. We're going to find out, and you're going to find out at a very short price. I mean, the race goes through Eternal Hope, but at a short price after just winning the Oaks, take it. Alpha Bella. I almost put this horse on top for Todd Pletcher. I was just thinking the post might be a little bit much on the outside. 6, 7, 10 in the Sands Point.
Race number 3, plain vanilla claimers, $16,000 tags. They'll travel 3/4 of a mile.
5-1-2, folks, and Air Show gets my top pick for Rudy Rodriguez, who's having a good meet here. This horse won at 20, now steps down for a shorter price. For second, from the rail, St. Selby, who was so good 2 races back before trying a turf sprint, and is 4-5 on the board here. The race goes through St. Selby, but is down inside here, and I think is going to get pressured early. I'm hoping early and often. And by often, I mean for 3 furlongs at least, maybe 4 furlongs, never letting him breathe. For a third, scheduled to break for the number 6 post position is Octopus. David Jacobson's runner here. Third start since July. Third start since the 10,000 claim. 5-1-2.
Yet another turf stake early on the card. Race 4 is the Floral Park, $125,000 up for grabs. The ladies will go 6 furlongs on the grass.
I'm 7-1-6 in here. In the main body, there's 8 runners. The MTO start at 9. 7-1-6. Can't Buy Me Love for Michael Trambetta, who's been off for 2+ months. I think that's a good sign. We are on the outside. We won't be attacking because this is a late runner who I'm hoping is there to pick up the pieces. For second, the other side of the main body starting gate, 7-5 in your heart. Bubble Rock goes out for Brad Cox, who's obviously the final third of the Saratoga meet. His numbers went up. He's continued it at this meet. This horse just got beat in the Smart and Fancy. And for third, it's going to be a gigantic price. Risk Free, who's 30-1 of the morning line. 18 starts in maiden special weights. Still a maiden. 9 seconds and 5/3. But I think that this horse is a player in here on the outside. This is not a third-place selection that I think can win the race. This is wrapping up a trifecta for yours truly. 7-1-6.
The 5th race this afternoon, Belmont at the Big A. Maiden special scheduled for 8.5 furlongs on the grass.
I love these late season races in the New York. I'm 1-9-6. Quick note, 12 in the main body. We have a couple of AEs. We have a couple of MTOs. 1-9-6 for me. Purloin scheduled to make the career debut, an offspring of Arrowgate, who remember has passed away. So there's only a small number in there. Cherie DeVoe sends out this runner. 8-1 on the morning line. I'm suspecting if there's buzz down in New York with Purloin, it's going to get bet. But I'll you have Scat Daddy on the bottom side. I'm taking Purloin. For a second, number 9, Public Assembly. Peter Brandt, Chad Brown, an offspring of More Than Ready. Quality works to start 3-1 on the morning line. And for third, Dynamic Pricing, Chad Brown's other runner for Klarovich, 196. And let me slide this in here. It's never going to happen because of the type of horses, but I will tell you, Seth, I have never seen a horse, stallion, be as good as long as More Than Ready. Usually 7-8 years, you get the best mares, you move on. More Than Ready was a 2-year-old in the previous century, and he is still producing at a rate, not Mr. Prospector, not Seattle Slew, not AP&D, nobody this long, this good as More Than Ready. I've never seen anything like it. And since he doesn't throw classic horses, he won't get the attention.
Well, yeah.
But sprinters, dirt, turf, middle distance, never seen anything like it to go on for a human generation, ever. I mean, most horses don't live this long.
Yeah.
Most horses don't live as long as he's been a stallion. And he's still a top flight one.
And then the new shooters come along.
Yeah,
and
you
good
get pushed
mayors
out.
go to, yeah.
I've never seen it. It's not close that I've never seen anything like it. I'm intrigued. If I ever substituted for you, I'd like to get a pedigree person to discuss if they've ever seen anything like this. I haven't.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll complete Belmont at the Big A a little bit later on
12:05.
Keeneland on this Saturday morning into the Saturday afternoon. Stay tuned. I'm Seth Merrow, and as serious horse players, we know that information is critical when placing a bet. With live streaming of more than 30 tracks, race replays, free past performances, and daily picks from professional handicappers, no one gives you more up-to-the-minute information than Capital OTB. Combine that with the best player awards in New York State, and you have everything a serious horse player needs to be successful.
Win more with Capital OTB.
Winning starts here.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes.
But here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Paul Brown. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Seth, Merrow, and Anthony Mormino. We will continue our look Belmont at the Big A with race 6, plain vanilla claimers, 7 furlongs the distance.
Toss-up race for me, and I paid attention to my cardinal rule, 7-3-1. If you look long enough and nothing's really coming to the forefront for you, don't take the chalk. Quick flash going out for Pat Reynolds, first off the $20,000 claim, a runner who has had, great monetary success on this racing strip, comes off a second place finish early in this meet. For second, number 3, Poppy's Pride, first off the $20,000 claim. And for third, schedule the break for the number 6 post position, sitting on go, David Jacobson, 7-3-1.
7th race, conditional claimers scheduled on the grass at 6 furlongs.
A big price, well, a 10-1 price. You determine whether that's big or not. 6-4-8, War Terminator, scheduled to have Katie Davis aboard for Gary Contessa. I was surprised to see the morning line price for 2 reasons. One is, as Seth has taught me, and I know they're less strong on turf, but the Beyer speed figure, I am in the hunt. And the most recent effort was solid, and that was in starter allowance, and I am now completely convinced how much stronger day in and day out the starter allowance races are versus dropping back to the 2Ls. I feel very confident with War Terminator to run big here at double digits. Number 4, Fade the Noise. Mike Maker's runner in here drops out of a 1X at the Meadowlands, second start since July. And for third, I just have to fear the danger that Forward Move, it doesn't take a lot to parse it out because there's only 4 races, but there's only 1 sprint on the turf on the docket. That was the debut. Ran third as the beaten favorite, 648.
Race number 8, $50,000 claimers, 3/4 of a mile.
I'm just recognized. I think I have 3 parts of entries today. 9, 1A, and 7. I got with my 4th page. I'm sorry, folks. Jake Rocks gets my top pick, been on the circuit for so very long. This will be the 3rd start since April. Was a $40,000 claim. Now, this horse was, not running for 4 months, had a voided claim. Oh, do you see the Wesley Ward runner? 2 wins off 2 voided claim races. And the most recent effort was tougher. I'm going to take my famous thing. The comeback race was solid. The regression, now we move forward. For a second, schedule the break for the number 4 post position is Milton the Monster. Comes out of a huge effort at better than 30-1. But that was back on July 8th. Makes the first start since then. And then Dots Dollar, Linda Rice's runner, won in July, has only 1 race since then. 9, 1A, and 7.
I thought about this earlier, and it may have been that Wesley Ward horse that got me thinking about it. They have got to modify these voided rules because who's it protecting? I mean, it was supposed to protect, I think, both the bettors and the next owner and make sure that folks weren't dumping horses into claiming races, but it's clearly not turning out that way, the way it's playing out. Because they're not explained. B, some owners are now have said, we might have wanted the horse. We still might, and I would think that would be a good rule that, hey, if you don't want the horse, we'll void the claim. But if you still want the horse, here's the situation. I think that would be helpful but the way it's happening now, I don't get who it's helping really.
3 months ago when we were doing the Handicappers Report, I had mentioned, and they're just things that, you can't be on top of everything, especially from my perspective. But I had mentioned that Paul Matisse had opened my eyes to the idea that maybe there's some abuse being made, that there's a gaming of it. And now, and Paul Matisse is one of the sharpest voices in the game. I know you guys usually have a fun session with the Matisse brothers, but I'd like to call Paul himself and have him walk me through, because now I never doubted Paul, but now I'm starting to see, but I don't understand it as well as he could explain it to me.
Yeah, like I said,
something's up.
Need a review of that, I think. 9th race at Belmont today. Optional claimer with the C condition, 6 furlongs.
My 4th part of an entry, 2, 1, 3. Colin, we draw the rail in here, and this horse was laid off a year in the Classic. Good bounce back effort, little regression. And I told you years ago, Seth, these horses would be tosses, that it doesn't matter anymore. This Offspring of Campharos is my top pick. For second, scheduled break for the number 2 post position is number 1, Spun and Won. David Jacobson claimed this horse for $60,000 and has been, David Jacobson is back. And he's got, Durante on the other side who's trying to make it 5 in a row. And then, boy, I'll tell you, if you'd have told me Strobe would have been in this spot after that debut on Kentucky Derby Day, 22, I told you, you're Fruit Looped. And but I have no confidence in him, and I thought this horse was going to be a Titan. 2, 1, 3, and he did. He got a 99 on debut that day, and I said I thought he ran better than Jackie's Warrior, who ran earlier in the card.
That loss behind Bango last time.
Terrible. And he looked god awful the last 16th of a mile. Like, I didn't think he'd be running back this soon.
And it's surprising, though, that Brad then sends him to New York to try this spot. Intriguing. 10th and final at Belmont, at the Big 8 today, 1.16 scheduled 1.16 on the grass for state bred maiden specials.
And remember, with post time being moved up, I'm thinking they're going to wrap up the NYRA card before 5 o'clock. Seth, 10, 12, 9. Special Agent Johnson makes the third career start. I like the second one, though, moving forward for Michelle Nevin. Been off for 2 months. For a second, the outside of the main body, hard par for those of us who love the game of golf. Katie Davis gets the mount. Love both starts. Those were sprinting. It's an offspring of hard spun. I have no problem stretching out. And for third, I presume.
What do you presume? I was waiting to hear how you were going to pronounce it.
Well, Jay Hirsch. It's got to be named after Joe Hirsch.
But why wouldn't they put it? That's what I thought too. But why wouldn't they put a space?
I don't know that, but no, I said this, I think 3 weeks.
I think you're absolutely right, but why didn't they put the space?
That's a good one. Not this time is a tremendous stallion, 10, 12, 9. I mean, Joe has passed away, and you usually got to get permission. I don't know, but as soon as I saw that, I was like, and I don't know the connection.
When I first saw it, I originally in my mind said Jersh, and then I went, oh, wait a minute, Jay Hirsch. Yeah.
And I don't know who New Cal is, the owner, so I can't make any guessing. But I'm sure David Grenning on Twitter will raise the curtain or draw back the curtain behind the mystery, whatever that saying is.
Yeah.
So.
All right, that'll take us to another break. When we come back, we'll shift our attention to Keeneland for Saturday afternoon. Stay tuned.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes.
But here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Falbrough. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Handicappers, we're about to turn our attention to Keeneland. Please take note, Monmouth at the Meadowlands has canceled. NYRA's post time is moved up to 12:05. And Seth, I wouldn't be surprised if they run the races a little quicker.
Yeah.
They're going to. So, I mean, I think NYRA's going to be done by 5 o'clock today, folks. So we turn our attention to Keeneland on QE2 day. The opener, about 7 furlongs. Claimers in for 30. 2L. Now, one thing I will say about Keeneland's about 7 furlongs, which I don't like, they tell you it's 124 feet. They tell you exactly what the about is.
3, 5, 9, and 1 for me. Carnival on top, comes in from Horseshoe Indy off a nice win. Now, had a nice maiden breaker in the 5th career start. So, the numbers are going in the right direction, seem to kind of figure it out. Now, did drop in for a tag to do that, stepped out of maiden special company, but comes back for the conditional tag. Again, you go from the maiden to the N2L. It's not a big leap. So I'll put Carnival on top, Luis Saez on board. Creative Way in the 2nd spot. Claimed last time, claimed away from Joe Sharp, moves into the barn of Safi Joseph. Liked the top pick, dropped in for a tag and won. Did it at $16,000. I like the confident move up to 30, but I also like the fact that Tyler Gaffleone is on board. He continues to ride very well, obviously. And Vale in the 3rd spot. 20-1 for a trainer who's pretty good off the claim. Limited sample, but pretty good off the claim. And I think the horse kind of fits with this bunch, maybe a little behind the top 2, but otherwise the 20-1 is a little bit attractive for, I think, a horse that's going to be a player in with this group. In the opener at Keeneland, 3, 5, 9, and 1.
On to the second, 2-year-old maiden claimers in for 75, racing 6.
2, 5, 7, and 3. I'll put Tap Anchor on top. Steve Asmussen trainee. His son is scheduled to ride. Paid $65,000 for this horse in March at Ocala, and they debut for $75,000. Sire Anchor down this year. 11 first-time starters, couple of wins, a second and a third. So a little win early on top. The dam produced a couple of siblings that were okay. One called Harlequin. Took 3 starts to win, but 6th, 7th, and then 1 in the 3rd start. Meanwhile, another sibling called Captured Prize was second in debut, won the 2nd start, albeit in Puerto Rico. But source doesn't have to be a superstar. I'm just seeing a little win early, and we're facing $75,000 maiden claimers, so should fit nicely. Gillies West in the 2nd spot. Wesley Ward, first-time starter. Just on that factor, have to pay a little bit of attention. And Andy's Candy in the 3rd spot. Chris Hartman trainee that debuted with an okay effort. Now goes made special weight to maiden claiming. Maybe more importantly, with Practical Joke on top, there's some win early there. So in the second, 2, 5, 7, and 3.
On to the third, an intriguing race for me. 2-year-olds, optional claimers, 1X, miles 16th on the dirt.
6, 5, 3, and 7. I will go with Late Line, who looked very good for Brad Cox over at Horseshoe Indy, winning convincingly in the career debut with a solid number. And given the way this one won, the number may be a little light as compared to what the horse might have been able to do. Our friends at West Point have Stretch Ride going out for Dale Romans, also off a career debut win. And so this one could be any kind as well. And then in the 3rd spot, Seize the Gray, going out for the coach, Wayne Lucas, broke the maiden in the 2nd career start. That was done up at Saratoga, and then went into a couple of stakes races subsequently and ran okay. So gets back to the more proper non-winners of one other than in here, and could be interesting again on the class move. In the 3rd, 6, 5, 3, and 7.
What intrigues me about this race is your top pick, Light Line, that you would think in this day and age, your next stop isn't an allowance race, but it intrigues me 2 reasons on the good side. One is he did what I like, which, Seth, is I like these 83 maiden special weight debut numbers, not the 95s. And that Brad, I would be interested to ask Brad Cox, and we have a great relationship with him, is to say, is this your audition for the Breeders' Cup? Like, if you see something spectacular again, what is your plan? I think this is a very good plan. And lastly, these owners, these are the people that own Not This Time.
To me, it seems like they just decided to be maybe a little bit conservative. You're right. In this day and age, off of that win, you're going. I will also note, though, they're racing for $110,000.
Yes.
Because this is a Kentucky bred. They're going for the extra money in the purse. So they can take a shot like that in this day and age down in Kentucky and maybe be a little more conservative. It would be very interesting if they win again. Certainly, if they win nicely like that again, would the conversation be?
You got to run them when they're good. That's my opinion. On to the 4th, capital B claimers going 6.5.
5, 8, 9, and 10. Mayo tie on top. If I took a shot and got that right, hasn't been seen since Turfway in February. But boy, the races this horse was running, I think, were good enough. Now, it does come back for a tag, but a high tag. The last workout was okay. I think this horse can be a player in with this bunch. It may be a little bit of a price. It Takes Heart, the number 8 in the 2nd spot, Rob Falcone trainee. And I've said it a few times. Took Rob most of the meet to get a win up at Saratoga. But in the meantime, his horses were running well down in Monmouth this summer. He had a pretty good summer. And so find it intriguing that this one been working right up the Northway at Saratoga. And off the claim early in the Saratoga meet, they elect to go down to Keeneland for this start. Luis Saez on board. Street Jam in the 3rd spot for Ian Wilkes, who's limited starters, having a pretty good meet, though, particularly in the last few days. He's kind of warmed up down there at Keeneland. So coming off the nice try at Churchill last time. Street Jam likely to be a solid contender as well in the 4th at Keeneland, 5, 8, 9, and 10.
And one more before we get to the break. We get to the turf. Phillies and Mares, maiden special weights going 9.
8, 9, 2, and 3. I'll put King's Secret on top. 10-1 for the Brendan Walsh trainee. And I'm going to be interested to see if this holds up because I'm kind of hanging my hat on the Saratoga race 2 back and hoping that was more a signal. You have a horse who started a couple times at Gulfstream, January and March, then lays off until July and comes back with a much improved effort. And I think that's always possible. Lightly raced 2-year-olds or 3-year-olds that get a little break like that, they can come back improved. This one did. Then goes down to Kentucky Downs and regresses. I'm going to kind of draw a line through that. The horse had some trouble in the race. Kentucky Downs is a little quirky. I'm going to look more at that Saratoga race as being what we can expect. And I'm also looking at Tyler Gaffleon sticking on board. So King's Secret on top, 2nd spot. We'll look at Heckled, who has a string of 2nd place finishes for Mike Stidham most recently. Hopefully the horse isn't stuck in that bridesmaid mode. But since I have it in the 2nd spot, that would be okay with me to complete the exacta behind the 10-1 shot. But I think Heckled certainly has to be in the conversation. And then Cat Mint going out for Brad Cox and Juddmonte off a couple of improving tries to start the career so far. Could be primed for a nice effort this afternoon. 5th race at Keeneland, 8, 9, 2, and 3.
We'll take our final break. When we come back, the late pick 5 at Keeneland.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. You'll get live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform, and best of all, you get track prices. CapitalOTBBet.com. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
The Clubhouse Racebook is the Capital Region's new home for racing and sports. 25,000 square feet of Vegas-style action with live wagering on the best horse racing from around the world. 260 flat-screen televisions and state-of-the-art wagering terminals. So don't miss out. The fun is only minutes away at 711 Central Avenue, Albany, just off exit 5 of I-90. And don't forget, if you can't make it to the Clubhouse, you can always wager online 24/7 at CapitalOTB.com.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick note. About an hour ago, the Daily Racing Form announced that Saturday racing at Belmont starts at 12:05 p.m. We have conflicting reports, and I apologize for that, but it is a blue check mark for the Daily Racing Form. So we'll try and get you better information on that. I'm trusting personally that they're going to move it up, but that is not the NYRA feed. So please pay attention to that. On to the 6th race, 2-year-olds, maiden special weights on the dirt, going 1:16.
4, 2, 3, and 12. Django on top for Ken McPeak, Julian Lepereau on board. Again, one of those with 3 starts and 3 efforts that seem to be moving in the right direction, including the latest, which was on a stretch out to 2 turns, seemed to be the best effort so far. So on that, I'm going to put Django on top. 2nd spot, Dornock, going out for Danny Gargan. Debuted up at Saratoga, ran a good 2nd. They were confident enough off of that to, as a maiden, move into a stakes race, the Sapling down at Monmouth, and ran a good 2nd there. Gets back to the proper maiden special. Dornock should be very, very dangerous. And Lat Long in the 3rd spot. Another Ken McPeak trainee. This one coming in off an okay debut effort at Churchill. Brian Hernandez on board. He was on board for the debut effort, so should benefit from the experience, I would think, and potentially move forward. Dive Bomber is interesting. Dive Bomber, I think, is the morning line favorite. I was just a little concerned. Leaves from the 12. Otherwise, I might have put the Son of Omaha Beach up a little, at least higher, maybe on top if this horse had a significantly better post position, but really going to have to work from that outside post. In the 6th at Keeneland, 4, 2, 3, and 12.
On to the 7th, allowance 2X going 1.5 miles on the turf.
7, 6, 12, and 3. Number 7. Well, wait a minute.
I doubt you left out the.
Yeah, I had the 1.
I was gonna say I can't believe you left out the 1.
I don't know why and so the 1 sheet may also say 7. I'd written the 7 in there. 1, 6, 12, and 3.
Almost fell over.
And I had the 7 as a dirt selection, and so that I think that was it. That was the last thing I labeled, and so the first thing I wrote. 1, 6, 12, and 3. 911 Turbo. Yeah, it comes in from Southern California with numbers that just have an edge on this bunch, and consistent numbers that have an edge on this bunch for Neil Drysdale. So looks like a solid fit. You know, they come to Kentucky. Why not? $120,000 up for grabs. Step out of a second in a stakes race at Del Mar. But for this money, it makes some sense coming east. Foreign relations in the 2nd spot. Tyler Gaffalione on board, a horse that on a best effort belongs, steps out of stakes company like the top pick and drops into this non-winners of 2. But again, when they put up this kind of money, why not if you have a horse that's talented enough to contend? And Microphone in the 3rd spot. 1.5 miles, so the 12 post position isn't a bonus, but I don't think it's going to be a negative. Plenty of time to find position, and on a better effort, Microphone belongs in the conversation. I have it 1, 6, 12, and 3.
And your top pick, I'm more than ready.
And
you get the name, right?
I meant to look up the name. 911 Turbo?
That's a Porsche.
Oh, okay.
911 is their most famous model number.
Okay.
On to the 8th, entry-level allowance for fillies and mares, 1X.
I'm not shopping for Porsches,
Me neither. But I've seen them.
9, 10, 2, and 7. Zeitlos in the top spot goes out for Steve Asmussen off a nice second-place finish trying the turf at Kentucky Downs, but the dirt races just prior, including the nice race up at Saratoga. It was a 3rd, but had a nice number that matches up with these. I kind of like the turf to dirt move for Asmussen, Stone Street and Company runner. Zeitlos on top. A seed in the 2nd spot. Chad Brown, Juddmont, Irod Ortiz. Potent team with a horse that certainly can contend. First couple of starts of the career seemed to indicate this horse had a real future, a stakes future. Subsequently has been a little bit disappointing. Maybe they regroup here and get a confidence builder. Pumpkin Scone in the 3rd spot. Brad Cox, trainee for Spendthrift, coming out of some nice and improving tries over at Ellis, and gets the cozy 2 post position in the 8th, 9, 10, 2, and 7.
And the 9th race, the unofficial 3-year-old filly turf championship, the QE2 at 9 furlongs.
2, 6, 12, and 4. I'm going to put Elusive Princess on top. Came to this country and won the Saratoga Oaks Invitational and did it pretty convincingly. Now moves into the barn of Arnaud Delacour. Off of that Saratoga race, I think the horse is legit. So we'll put that one on top. Lindy going out for Brendan Walsh, like the top pick. Came to the United States, put in a nice victory, albeit an optional claiming company over at Kentucky Downs, but did get the victory and seems eligible to be right in the mix again today. Tyler Gaffalione on board. And then in the 3rd spot, Papilio for Mark Cassie. This is a horse I've liked really throughout the career since arriving in the United States. Has only gotten me the win once in 6 starts, but is typically in the hunt, including a 3rd up at Saratoga behind my top pick last time. At a price, I think this horse is a player as well. In the 9th at Keeneland, 2, 6, 12, and 4.
In the finale, optionals in for 80 or 2X, 1 mile 16th on the dirt.
1, 8, 2, and 10. Going to put First Mission on top. Brad Cox, trainee, comes out of a win in the Lexington. That means this horse hasn't been seen since April, but with a stakes win under the belt, a promising 3-year-old getting back on track with the non-winners of 2 try. 2nd slot, we'll take a look at Sakil coming in off a win at Churchill most recently. I would think a Stalk and Pounce is in line here and could be very dangerous as they get to the last 1/8 of a mile in Keystone Field in the third spot. Stepping out of String of Stakes Company for Mike Maker, Keystone Field gets Irod Ortiz. And with this team, I would not ignore this one if it gets away at that morning line, or certainly greater than that 6-1. 10th and final at Keeneland, 1-8, 2-10.
And that wraps up our look at Belmont at the Big A. And please stay tuned to see this. I'm hoping the Daily Racing Form people just didn't put up banners. I mean, I don't know. Let's we'll try and get updated information on that. But there does seem to be weather in the Northeast. Meadowlands has canceled the racing today. Naira has the races moved up. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Stay tuned to the network. But a terrific addition to the QE too. I mean, as per usual. I mean, many North American trainers have really pointed that they don't really have much interest in taking on the elders. And unlike the Colts, you can avoid it. This is kind of like it. I should look it up. The last United States 3-year-old filly that went to the Breeders' Cup to run on the turf. They kind of exit stage left here with this race. So we'll see. It's a terrific addition. Great racing at Keeneland. Great racing at Santa Anita today, and Belmont hopefully.
Laurel, Maryland Millions.
The first state to do this.
Yeah.
In the 80s.
Jim McKay.
They got this underway, and like many of them, they had a couple races, and it's grown since then. But this was, completely the brainchild of Jim McKay of ABC Sports. Do they still call it the Jim McKay Maryland Millions? They call it.
Question.
I've seen bumper stickers that had that. So great day of racing. I mean, it continues. I'm trying to think. Maybe next 2 weekends would be quiet, but maybe not. I haven't looked forward that much as we're getting closer and closer to the Breeders' Cup, and unfortunately, we lost Echo Zulu, who
we mentioned it earlier. If people didn't see, broke a leg in a workout, and they expect surgery today or tomorrow, I think.
Now, here's a question: is she going to win a championship?
Good question.
Could she have been the 3-year-old filly champion, pulling extra heat many
tough
years
for a
ago?
sprinter, bud.
Would she have been this champion sprinter? Things to be determined at a later date. Who do you have for the good folks on Racing Across America?
Top of the hour, Jeremy Plonk, horseplayernow.com. As I say, is a Substack page as well now, where you can get some selections and analysis. We'll talk a little bit about that, but more Peak Handicaps every day for Keeneland, their website. You can find his picks there. So we'll talk Keeneland with Jeremy. A little bit later on, John Piasek from the Maryland Horse Breeders Association. We'll talk Maryland Millions with John.
All right. He stays, I go, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully the weather will be avoided here. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.
You've been watching the Handicappers Report. The Handicappers Report has been brought to you by Thorough Pace, Premium Racing Analytics, allowing bettors to identify races with extreme pace scenarios in a matter of seconds. Capital OTB's mobile wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with Capital OTB's mobile wagering platform. And CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State.